Imagine having hundreds of professional YouTube shorts written, designed, and scheduled in just under 5 minutes. Today, we'll build that AI engine from scratch. You'll watch me connect ChatGPT, Canva, and YouTube together. This system gets you posts that look like this. Now this is just the template that I've created for my YouTube shorts. You can customize the layout, the video, the look, the sound, all of this. So this whole system starts by prompting ChatGPT and asking it to brainstorm different ideas on the topic that you want to make content about. So in my case, I use this particular prompt, and I'll share this prompt with you in the resource hub. I want you to create 50 different use cases of AI for a small business. These need to be validated ideas, and I need you to split it up into part 1, part 2, and part 3. So part 1 explains the use case, explains the idea in just a few words. Part 2 is where you highlight the true benefit of that idea to a small business owner. Then part 3 is a tangible plan on how to get started to actually implement AI in their business. And then I say output the result in a CSV file with columns for part 1, part 2, and part 3, and ensure these lengths are met for these 3 different parts. And so I put in this prompt, I click submit, and then we're gonna get this result and then upload this into a Google Sheet. Great, so we just got the result from ChatGPT that gave us a CSV file with 50 AI use cases for small businesses. And so I'm just gonna download this CSV, and then we're gonna create a brand new Google Sheet like we've just done here. And then we're gonna click import and upload what we just downloaded. So we're gonna click import data. Now, once we import the data into a Google Sheet, it's going to look like this with part 1, part 2, and part 3 as the column headers. Now, what I recommend is you do a quick check of this to make sure that it meets your needs for the type of content that you want to make. And so just as a preview of what we're about to see, we're looking to create content that has a part 1, part 2, and part 3. So this is part 1, what it is, why it helps, and how to start. That's the template that we're going to create. And so that's why we started with that prompt and have our data into a Google Sheet like this. So once we have the result of our brainstorm from ChatGPT and this CSV file brought into Google Sheets, we can set this aside for now, and we're gonna go into Canva and actually create the template for the YouTube shorts that we wanna generate. So over here in Canva, I'm using the Canva desktop app, but you can also go to canva.com, sign up, create a new account, and then get started that way. And I put in YouTube shorts as the template for the project that we wanna create in Canva. Now, what I recommend you do is you upload some sort of video that you have that's relevant to your business that you would like to use as the background for all of these videos. And so for me, in my case, I had just filmed me working at a desk, sitting right here. And so I have just used that as the background, but feel free to change this up depending on what you would like to see as your background. And so for untitled design, I'm just gonna go to upload files. There's also templates that are available in Canva, so you can go ahead and start this way by just having some sort of a video playing, and you can customize this template as well. What I recommend though for your business is to personalize it. So have some sort of video that you have ready that you want to use as the overall background. So I have just brought in and imported my video that I have that I would like to use for this particular project. And so this is the video. I recommend keeping the video somewhere between 7 and 20 seconds so that it's long enough for you to be able to show a few pieces of text throughout the play of that video. And then what we can do is we can bring in some text to use as the title. And so what I've used is this one right here, which starts off as financial strategy. And what I do is I just make this one white. I think it looks a little bit better standing out. But again, feel free to modify this color, these fonts for the way that you would like to make this look. And so I've just set this up to look like this. And then we want to bring in some other text to show up here. And so what you can do is you could just drag some body text here, and then you can choose the font that you would like. I liked this font and I made it white and I made it a little bit bigger. So once you're happy with the way that this looks, you want to make sure that this right here, this timeline, you can adjust this timeline to have the text show up on a particular time. And so what you would do is you'd start off with the video just showing the title so that people are hooked on to what you're about to talk about. And then you can start adding text. And so for part 1, what's going to be part 1, it's what it is. And then we're going to duplicate this to come at the same timestamp. And then we're just going to leave this as a placeholder. We can just put part 1 there. And then what we want to do right after that is drag another piece of text over that goes right after that one, duplicate that one, and then say that that is part 2. So this, we're going to say it's part 2, and then we want to make a part 3 as well. And so we can just do this one more time, drag this one over and drag this one over. And so you want to make sure these timestamps look like this and that they're not overlapping. And so then you can also adjust these times a little bit. What I would recommend is that in this case, part 3 is a little bit longer text. So I would make it stay on screen for a little bit longer, and I would end it with part 3. So have it go towards the end of at the end of the video for the longest amount of time. And then part 2 could be a little bit longer than part 1. So maybe you have it go for a little bit longer here, and then part 1 can be the shortest. And ideally, as you play through it, you'd want to make sure that they're not uneven in terms of, meaning the text stays at the same place so that people know where to look. I think it just helps make it look more professional. So now, as you can see, when you click through these part 1, part 2, part 3, the text is in the same place. It just helps it look professional. And I've extended the length of these ones to be a little bit longer than part 1, so it gets longer as it goes on. These are the slight tweaks that you can make. And then of course you can add sound to your project. And so you can use the audio that's available in Canva. I've used this particular audio that I like, but you can go through this music, you can go based off mood and then just pick an audio that you like, place it down here. And so now when you play it, it gives it a certain feel, and you can modify this to your liking. But once we have this ready, once you have this one short created, then what you want to do, this is the key step right here, is you want to go to bulk create. Under apps, you want to go to bulk create, click enter, and click bulk create. Then you have an option to upload a sheet. So what I actually do is I enter the data manually, and we're just going to copy and paste this from our Google Sheet. And so we are just going to come in here and click copy, and then we're going to come over here, highlight this row, and then click paste, and there you go. All the data from our Google Sheet is come into Canva. We're going to click done. And now we're going to attach the data fields to particular text boxes. And so when you click part 1, now you want to connect that data to part 1 from our Google Sheet. And part 2, you want to do the same thing. You want to connect it to part 2. Part 3, you want to connect it to part 3. And then once you click continue, it allows you with just one button to generate as many designs as you would like. So in this case, my Excel sheet actually gave us 52 rows, or for 52 use cases of AI. Now I'm just going to click generate 52 designs, and it says one design created and saved to your projects. We're going to view it. And this is what we have just created, this bulk financial project. So as you can see, there are 50 of these all in this one file. And just like that, we've created all of our content using this bulk create in Canva. So that was step 2. Now step 3 is going to be to set up this workflow, this very, very simple workflow. I'll help walk you through this setup to actually grab each design, create a caption for the design, and then schedule it directly to our YouTube channel. You can also connect this straight to your Instagram or to your Facebook business profile or to your TikTok or any of that. I'm just going to use YouTube for this example. So we're going to start and build out this workflow, and I'm going to explain every step in the way. There's only a couple steps in this Make automation. And so if you're not familiar with Make, it is a very simple and very effective automation platform to help you with built-in integrations to many different third-party softwares that are commonly used for businesses. And so you can come in here and connect to a variety of softwares, bring them together, send data to one another, and create complex software with no code at all. So I'm going to build out this workflow really quick. And if you want to get access to this workflow, you can just go ahead and download the resource hub or get access to the resource hub down below. And then you can upload this design, already have this in your make.com setup. But the way that we're going to start is we are going to need a loop that has a counter variable. And so the way that we do this is we have a repeater as our initial trigger. And so depending on the amount of use cases that you have in your Google Sheet, you can set this up to be that total number. And so for me, it's 50, it's actually 52. It ended up being 52, but you can put 100, 1,000. If you want to create 1,000 pieces of content, you can do that just the same. And so we're going to leave that repeater as the initial. And then we want to grab that data from our Google Sheet. So just as a reminder, we have this data just sitting in our Google Sheet, and we want to grab that data. One quick thing we do need to do here is we need to insert a column left, and then we want to put in the row number. And I'll explain why in just a second, but we are just going to have a simple column that just outlines the row number, and that's going to help us grab the correct row when we want to create our captions later on in this workflow. So we are going to search for a particular row, and we're going to search using the search rows advanced option in make.com. So the first thing we need to do is just find our Google Sheet. Yeah, you're going to need to connect your Google Workspace account to make.com, and it's a very, very simple setup. If you just click add, sign in with Google, and then you can go ahead and sign in with your Gmail account or your Google Workspace professional account, whichever one you have. And then once you sign in, you can search for a particular spreadsheet. And so in my case, I'm just going to search for AI use cases. So I have just put in the path to grab my particular spreadsheet, and then it's going to pull up the specific sheet ID. In this case, the sheet ID is just called AI-use-cases. And then we can put in a query. A very simple Excel query that we're going to use is just to grab the specific row that matches the number of this flow control, this repeater module. And so the first time this loop runs, that's going to be equal to value 1. So it's going to go to row number 1. That's why we put these numbers here. So it's going to go to row number 1 and only grab this particular row, the data in this row. And then the next time it's going to go to row 2, grab the data from row 2. And so the Excel query that we're going to put in here looks like this. Select all where column A is going to be equal to I. That's going to be our query. It's very, very simple. We're just going to grab everything from that row and then we're going to hit save. And if you'd like, we can test this once just to make sure that we're doing this right. So we can run this a few times and then hit stop and then see what that looks like. Operation 1, what did it grab? It grabbed what was in row 1, which was an AI voice agent to handle inbound calls. Perfect. Row 2, it grabbed row 2 with the AI personal assistant to manage calendar, and we can see that checks out. So it is grabbing this. We have connection with our Google Sheet and we are grabbing the data from the correct row. Now we want to go to Canva and grab the particular design that corresponds to that row. And so we're going to want to type in Canva when we go here and click export a design. And so we're going to find the design that we have just created. And so in our case, the design ID for me was just left at default. I didn't rename this. So this was just bulk 1 financial. And then the quality, I would like to export it as, for the quality, you can just put vertical 1080p. You could export it in 4K if you'd like. 1080p is more than good enough for in terms of the quality of a professional YouTube short. And now we want to specify which pages to export. So the way that we do that is we just export the page that corresponds to I, to the number I, because going back to Canva, this is page 1. Page 1 is all of this, and that is corresponding to row 1, which is the data we are looking at right now. And so we just want to export this particular design. This is row 2s. This is row 3s. And so we just want to grab the page that's corresponding to the value I. Now we have our design. Let's go ahead and run this. And just for testing purposes, I'm just going to run this once to show one iteration of this. Great, so we have this iteration and we see that it did export. So let's go ahead and go to this particular URL and confirm what it looks like. Great, so we just put in that URL. All right, so this just ran. So now we can go ahead and check and make sure that our YouTube short looks proper. So I went ahead and pasted this here, and there we go. We see that works. That looks great. It's exactly what we want. Keep in mind, the audio is actually not going to be able to be exported from Canva. So that is one thing to note from Canva's API. And I did some further research on this. We're not able to export the audio when we export an MP4 through make.com. And so that is a limitation, and we can add audio after we schedule the post if we'd like within the YouTube platform itself or the Instagram platform itself. But this allows us to export our designs, and then we can go ahead and last thing is to schedule it onto our YouTube channel. And so what you want to do is call the YouTube module. You want to put in the title. And so you'd want to put the title as something that is relevant to the topic that you're making content about. In my case, I want this to be a series of posts that are all centered around AI use cases. And so I'm just going to make this the title, AI use cases part, and then we'll call the I for the part. And now we can put, similar to if you post on YouTube, you can put the category of the content. You want to make it private. Now for the file, we're not actually going to go directly from Canva exported design. We're going to map the file from the output that we have here. And so the file name is actually going to be imp4, since that is the default file name that's going to be given through export. And then the data is going to be the exact data that was exported from Canva. And so we have the data field here. So that's how it's going to properly grab it and send it into YouTube from Canva or from this make.com workflow. Now, if you'll see, I made this video set to be private. And so the reason I did that is because we're going to schedule these posts. We're not just going to post them all right away. We're not going to make them public directly. The scheduling is actually a little bit complex, and so I'm going to show that here. And so we have add days now multiplied by I times 2. So I'm going to explain how that works. So first of all, this publish at is going to look for a future date and time. And so we want to be able to post every other day. In this case, I'm going to do it every other day. You could do it every third day, or every fourth day, or every once a week. You could do it once every 7 days, like that. And so the way that we do that is we have an add days function. And in the add days function, if you see here, it takes in a date and then it takes in a number. A number is to add or subtract the days from the date that you pass in the first parameter. So the date that we're going to pass in the first parameter is now, which is the current timestamp whenever this workflow runs. And then the addition or subtraction, the number that we're going to put there is not just 2, it's not just every other day. We are going to put I times 2. The reason we're going to put I is because this workflow is going to run once and it's going to go through the loop 1 through 50. And so we want to not just schedule all of our posts 2 days from now, we want to schedule the first post 2 days from now, the second post when I is 2, 4 days from now, the third post when I is 3, 6 days from now, and so on and so forth. So we're going to have this say I multiplied. And so the multiplication is right here. It's in this menu. So then we say add days now, and then I multiplied by 2. Hopefully that explanation makes sense. And in the same way, if you want to schedule all of these posts for once a week, you can simply change this from I times 2 to I times 7. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to leave it as I times 2 for the purposes of this. And that's pretty much it. That's all we need to do. Now, if you notice here, there's a description tab. Now, when you post on YouTube, you have the ability to put some sort of a caption on the post. Now, what is the caption going to be? Well, that is going to be decided by ChatGPT. So we are going to pass in ChatGPT here in between Canva and YouTube, and we are going to message an assistant. We're not just going to call general ChatGPT. We are going to message an assistant that we're about to create. And so I'm going to walk through this with you, and we are going to create an assistant. So the way that we do that first is we select this message an assistant. That message an assistant brings us to this menu, which allows us to connect our OpenAI account. So we're going to step out of this workflow and go to platform.openai.com. Now this will take you to some sort of a sign up page where you can sign up through your Google credentials or a different credential if you want to make your own email and password. That's totally fine. This is separate from your ChatGPT account. This is platform.openai.com. So this is a little bit of a different thing. This is the API connection to ChatGPT. And so I'm just going to log in really fast. And so once we log in, you'll typically come straight to a screen like this, which is the Docs overview screen, where you have your organization and then you have projects. And so what you'd want to do is you want to create a brand new project. So that new project can be called whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it the current date as of today, and I'm just going to name it YouTube Shorts Demo. And we're going to be in that project now. So then I'm going to click Playground. Playground is up here on the right. This is where we can create our assistants. This is where it gets interesting. We click Assistants, we click Create, and now we say we have the ability to create a custom GPT that's fine-tuned to our business. And we give it a system prompt here. So what I have is a system prompt ready for you, and I'm just going to paste that in now. All right, so this is our system prompt. And again, this is all available in the resource hub. I'll put this system prompt in the doc for you, so you can just copy and paste this just like I am. So you are a social media marketer specialized in creating YouTube captions. This is your objective. This is the input format. So I'm telling this assistant what they're going to get, so they have their expectations set properly. And I'm going to tell it what the requirements are for the caption, what the tone is going to be, what the CTA is, what the hook is, the body, etc. All of that goes into it to making a great caption. And then here's an example of a good output using this use case of an AI voice receptionist. So I'm going to hit save on that. You can feel free to read that in more detail. I will share that with you in the resource hub, so feel free to check that out. And then I will enter a friendly name so that I can reference this. So I'm going to call it a viral caption creator. Viral caption creator, very, very simple. If you'd like, you can also add files to this assistant so that it learns your business. It knows who you are and what you're talking about. So I'm going to add our sales copy blueprint, which I've talked about, which is just a document that outlines who our ideal customer is, what we do as a business, and some general info, so that this has some background that it's basing the captions on. Great, so I just added our sales copy blueprint. I click attach right there, and then it creates a vector store within the assistant. No need to know all the technical details there, but that is set up. Now, what we need to do is go over to API reference. This is where we create an API key. Actually, we're gonna wanna go to settings, and when we get to settings, you'll see this screen, and you'll see on the left a menu bar where you can select API keys. So as you can see, I've already created many keys from this account. We're going to create a new one together. And so it's going to say YouTube Shorts Demo, and I'm going to name it with today's date in mind so that I keep this in mind. And then I have this Shorts Demo here. And then we're going to click Create Secret Key. I'm going to click Copy. And then we are going to paste that into our new connection. So we can click Add Connection back into make.com now. We're going to click Add Connection. and I'm gonna name it, again, the same thing, and we're gonna paste in our API key. When we do that, we hit save, and then it's going to take a second, and now it knows it has access to our OpenAI account, platform OpenAI account. And from there, we can give it access to the assistant that we just created, the viral caption creator, and now we can pass in a user prompt. So a system prompt is different from a user prompt. A system prompt outlines the high level function in kind of the operating system, if you will, of what that AI assistant is supposed to do. The user prompt is more of like an instance of the high level system instruction. So the system instruction is to kind of prepare the assistant for what to do. And the user instruction is like, okay, here's a specific here's a specific example. Now give me specific output based on that example that I shared. So we're going to pass in a particular user message. And the only thing we're going to need to pass in is just the 3 instances or just the 3 parts of this AI use case so that it has enough context. From the system prompt, if you remember, it already knows what it's going to get. It's just going to get part 1, part 2, part 3. So we're going to give it exactly what we had just defined, told it we were going to give it, which is we're going to pass in part 1, which is what is this use case, an AI voice agent. Part 2, which is handle inbound calls 24/7 and capture leads, what this AI agent does. And then part 3, which is how to get started. That all directly comes from the Google Sheets, from our search rows. That's why we needed this module up here ahead. And now we can just pass in that user prompt and then we are good to go. We're gonna click save. Now we can go back to YouTube and then we can come over here in the description and then pass in the result, which is just here, result of this ChatGPT module to be passed in as the caption. So I'm just gonna hit save, auto align to make this look nice. And I'm just gonna rename this as caption creator, just so we remember what the point of this is without needing to click into it. And so let's just give it one test. All right, awesome. So as you can see, the workflow just finished up and we can see here that this ended up being scheduled for 2 days from now at 12:37 p.m. And I'm gonna go ahead and check this out to see what this looks like. And so we see here this one for May 23rd, AI use cases part 1. We can look at the editor, we can see that this is the exact video that we just wanted to create. And this is the title, this is the description, and there you go. So now all you need to do is change this repeater module to go to 100, 1,000, however many use cases that you created in the first step of all this, and put that number, that value here, start at 1, go to that value, click save, and then click run, and it will generate and schedule all of the posts every other day in this case, all into your YouTube studio, and then it will be posted at that particular time. Now, just another thing I want to show you here, you can very easily add this as an Instagram reel to be posted on your Instagram page. And you can do that using just one more module where you go to Instagram for Business, you click create a reel post, you connect your Instagram account, you find the page that you have connected. In this case, this is my Instagram page, and you just put in the video URL and the caption. So the video URL in this case is going to be the file URL. So we're going to call different parameters when posting it to YouTube versus Instagram. It's just the way that these modules are set up or configured, but this is how you do it for Instagram. You just put in the file URL and then you do put in a caption similarly from ChatGPT, and then we are all set to go. We can just hit save, and then there you go. Just like that, it posts to Instagram as well. It works well as a piece of short form content, and so I highly recommend you add more to this workflow in order to post this across various platforms for maximum reach. So I hope that makes sense. That is this entire workflow, and I will add this to the resource hub with the Instagram one. You can go ahead and download this workflow by checking out the link below, click import blueprint, and then get going with this in 5 minutes so that you can start making unlimited amounts of content for your business as early as today. Now, this is one of the simpler automations that I have on this channel because I wanted to give you guys something to get started and get going right away. So hope this was helpful. I will see you guys all in the next one, and I appreciate you guys for watching.